Hi there, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to go through the astrological forecast for the month of April 2023. And don't worry, it's not as crazy as March, but I do think it's still good to go through some of the main themes and some of the main energies that you can expect in the month of April. And of course, as always, this is applicable to all zodiac signs because we're going to be focusing on that higher level overview of the month. One of the big themes that I want to start off with when looking at April is just allow yourself to land. Allow yourself to come back to your body. March was crazy. Whether or not all of the changes literally manifested for us in literal events, that might not have been the case. But March was indeed crazy in astrology terms with the planets. Mars left Gemini after being there for what's a really long time for Mars. We had Saturn entering Pisces after 2 years in Aquarius. And we had Pluto entering Aquarius after 20 years in Capricorn. These are a lot of changes to have happening and a lot of big changes. Like Saturn and Pluto are big changes. It's a lot for a span of 30 days. And I think the energy that we start to see for April, which is a lot of earth and a lot of water, will hopefully allow us to indeed ground ourselves, come back to the body, and return to the fact that we are humans. We are humans that sleep. We are humans that eat. We are humans that cry. And perhaps with March being a little bit crazy, a little bit active, I think the energies in April will hopefully allow us to calm down a bit and just take a little breather. So I mentioned that we have a lot of earth and a lot of water energies. And more specifically with earth, what I'm talking about is we have the sun, we have Mercury, Uranus, and Venus, 4 planets in Taurus. Taurus is a Venus-ruled sign, and so is Libra. But the way they differ from each other is Libra is an air sign, so it's much more focused on pleasure and beauty when it comes to the intellect. And Taurus is a Venus-ruled earth sign. So it's a lot more focused on the physical, earthly pleasures and beauty and love. So having all of those planets in Taurus in the month of April, I think one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is just to pursue things that we enjoy, things that we find fun, things that bring us pleasure and laughter and just make us feel really good. You know, whether that's spending extra time to cook really yummy food, maybe making sure we move our body. If the weather is getting warmer where you live, making sure you spend time in nature or out in the beach. I think all of these things after the craziness of March will really help us bring us back to the earthly realm, bring us back to the everyday, and hopefully allow us to find that sort of inner peace, which is what the archetype of Taurus is all about, finding peace among the chaos. I also spoke that we have a lot of water energy in the month of April. And this is because of 3 placements, actually. So we have Mars in Cancer. We have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Saturn just entered Pisces last month. And looking at both the energies of Cancer and Pisces, they're both water signs, so they're both very much related to the body, to physical needs and emotions, because emotions are sort of the expression of the body. The way, for example, thoughts are expressions of the mind, of the intellect. Looking at a little bit deeper, though, into sort of the distinction between Cancer and Pisces, what we start to see is that Cancer relates a lot more to its body in terms of its foundations. We start to think of where our bodies come from, which is from our mothers. We start to think of the lineage, our ancestors, our great-grandparents. And we start to think of the foundations we build for ourselves eternally behind closed doors. And having Mars there might mean that all of a sudden we're focusing more of our drive, more of our passion, more of our action into those types of activities. Making sure that we have a stable foundation underneath us for all the craziness that's about to happen. And when we look at Pisces, we see this emotional energy, this bodily, watery energy. But this time it goes not from the foundation, but it focuses projecting it outward into a transcendental, into beyond even earthly realms. And I think having both of these energies at the same time is actually a really nice balance. Having Taurian energy, which allows us to pursue earthly pleasures, to make sure we keep peace and calm. And having these sort of other planets in water signs, in the beautiful sign of Cancer, we can nurture ourselves and our relationships. And in Pisces, that we can nurture the world, we can nurture the community. It's really a beautiful placement to sort of, or the perfect placement to describe put on your own mask before you put on the mask of others when you're sort of on an airplane and listening to the safety instructions. That we really, by nurturing ourselves and grounding ourselves through what it means to be in a human body, that we can also nurture the world and bring meaning and peace and love to the rest of the world as well. Finally, there's one more really important shift that we need to talk about in April. And this is the fact that the nodes are going, or the eclipses will start to switch from Taurus and Scorpio into Libra and Aries. Taurus and Scorpio brought up this idea of peace and calm and stability versus passion, erraticness, this idea that I might die tomorrow, so I need to live life the way I want to live it. I need to say what I want to say. It brought up themes of holding on and letting go, themes of grounding ourselves into being a human versus passionate pursuit of ideas and things that we want to do. And seeing the switch into Libra and Aries will bring up a different conversation. And when we're taking a look at the axis of Libra and Aries, it's a typical axis of the fighter versus the peacemaker. It's a typical axis of me first versus others first. And like I said in the previous forecast in March as well, when we see this shift happen, it doesn't mean that literally on that day, these themes will just come up all in front of us. These eclipses will be in Aries and Libra for about 2 years. So these are conversations that you might see coming up in April that will actually continue to develop and continue to teach us something for the next 2 to 3 years. So what this might mean for you is that you start to question at what point do you need to fight for something versus at what point can you let it go and meet somebody halfway. At what point do you need to pursue what you want to do versus pursue what somebody else wants you to do? At what point do you need to fight for what you believe in versus follow a crowd? And as I always say in all of these forecasts, neither is better than the other. Each of it has its beautiful aspects, its beautiful stuff, its beautiful parts of it. Whenever these sort of lessons start to come up, it's a little bit more about the imbalance. It's a little bit more about asking us, are you too heavily on one side? And how can you balance that out? And are you too heavily on one side because you're scared of something? Are you a fighter because you're afraid that you're going to lose yourself when you compromise? Do you compromise because you're scared that you actually don't know what you do want on your own? You're scared to find that out. You're scared that there's nothing that you like and enjoy. So just take a look in April if any of these sort of themes start to come up for you. But overall, I have a good feeling for April. A lot of the times when we start to look at a lot of watery energies, sometimes it can mean, oh no, like I'm going to be so emotional. But sometimes that can be really beautiful, right? Coming back to our body, coming back to our emotions, that's really important. It's really important to consider what's happening in our body. And allow that to motivate some new changes within us, whether internally or whether in the outside world as well. So that's everything I wanted to share for the month of April. I do post a new moon and full moon meditations every 2 weeks on this channel. So if by any means you'd like to watch some of those, here is the playlist. And if you want to catch some of the new and full moons coming up in Aries, then coming up in April, then I highly suggest subscribing and staying tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.